Who's out there? Anybody? Yo, what's up, everybody? Anybody alive? Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Hello? Voila! Voila! Ah, little gummy. That was the, what was that? Straw melon, maybe? I don't know. You don't want to eat too many of those, though. You'll be in big trouble. Ask me how I know. What's up, Gons? What's up, Milton? Chillin' and thrilling? What you fellers doing? How's the audio? I didn't even think about that. How is the audio? Busy? What's up, fellers? Oh, nice, Gons. Hell yeah. Getting some, oh, is it a class you had to take to get your CCW, or what's up? It should be plugged in through my my Hollyland, but I'm not sure if it is actually. It should be. Oh shit, audio's not bad. So what? That's what you're doing now, dog? You're working as an instructor now? Hell yeah. Oh, I see, like a side gig. Hey man, that might lead to something else, right? Maybe that's a bridge to Maybe that's a bridge to something full time. Forklift. Forklift is depending on where you work. I worked in some places where the forklift operators had it freaking like made, but then I worked in some places where they were like ran ragged type of deal. But I mean, not that, you know what I mean. They're still sitting. You're still sitting and chilling, but. Wayno coming in with 14 months. Whoa, high G ballers. Oh yeah, Wayno, how's that new spider code treating you, buddy? Yeah, man, I worked in this one factory for a little while. It was actually it was shop vac. Actually, this was probably the early 2010s, might have been the late 2000s even, but they had it made, dude. Like the one dude, he kept a 2-liter of Pepsi on his forklift, or a 2-liter of soda, something, and they just, you know, they stayed busy, but they would go from like one machine to, you know, take the stuff back, maybe go to the next machine, take that pallet back. They didn't ever have to get off the forklift. They didn't have to do, you know, I mean, you know, they might have had to get off to organize the pallet or something, but for the most part, they had it freaking made. Yeah, that's how it goes, Wayne. I tried to explain this to people. People wonder what the hell, when they first come around, what's the deal with the love for Spyderco? And then you finally get one in your hand and you're like, oh, that's the deal. I'm in shipping for a pretty big company. Oh, okay. Well, at least you got consistent work. What's up, Wayne? Ooh. Strong little bugger. This thing's pretty dope. The Naga. It's a big old boy, too. I mean, yeah, I see. What's up, Top Dog? My thing is, if you're looking for a pocket knife to be a pocket knife, then Spyderco is, you know, top dog in many facets. They're comfortable, they're versatile. The heat treats for the steels are as good as you can get on production knives. I mean, they are the king when it comes to a EDC utility work knife type of deal. But not everyone is looking for that, or they're looking for a combination. But a Spyderco. Let's see here. I got one here. Spyderco can be fidgety as well. I mean, so if that's something, but, you know, lefties, righties can carry it, tip up, tip down. Incredible catalog of different steels. Very comfortable to use, very easy to carry. Yeah, there was a point in time where I was infatuated with Spydercos, and it was early on in my collecting days. I went from having none to having like 15, in a year or two. who makes the Naga. That's a new Vastid release, or a newer. It's kind of got a blend of traditional look. You know what I mean? With that big belly clip point and then that tailed off handle. But it's really comfortable. Not going to be everyone's style because it has that traditional look. They got some more. They have some dampened down versions like a blue micarta. They have some subtle color for like an EDC knife. Just kind of you know, you need something to just have with you that can cut. Definitely will do the job. The Naga, and then it's got that badass top liner lock, so hard to beat. The top where the release is, it has a sharp point. Can I file it down or should I replace it? The top where the release is, you mean up here? Right here? The top where the release is shouldn't have anything sharp there, but I would say, yeah, I mean, you could file it down. You're not going to hurt it. I don't know how you would replace it though. I don't know how you'd replace the actual compression lock itself. Yeah, hit that like button, baby. Just Nate, what's up, brother? Carrying a native 5 in S90V. Nice. Yeah, Spyderco. Like I said, if you're looking for a user, dependable, reliable user, you know, in all things considered, even 8 years ago or now, yeah, prices have gone up, but they've gone up on everything. They're still reasonable for a USA made knife where heat treatment is a big deal. Like this bad boy in Crewwear right here, this is kind of a one and done, could be a one and done knife. Crewwear is an incredibly good steel, one of my favorites, and especially when Spyderco does it. You know, you could get this knife right here and pretty much, you know, never need another knife. You could say that about quite a bit though. Adventure Fitty, what up? I'm not sure, Wayne. Maybe send me an email with the photo of it and let me know where exactly it is, because is it at the top of the liner? It shouldn't, or the top of the lock, I guess. There shouldn't be anything pointy in there, I would say. What's up, Carbon? How did you accumulate a fortune to give you the ability to purchase these tools? Well, I didn't accumulate a fortune. I was in the trades for about 15 years, and any and all extra money and credit went to collecting knives. And then it kind of transpired, you know, 5-6 years in, and then I decided to start a channel, just sharing my love for gear, and that's where we are today. So I spent every extra dollar and every invincible dollar on knives at one point. By the time I was in probably year 5, I had probably bought probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 folders and maybe 100 fixed blades or so. Something in that neighborhood. Jamie, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Did the generator show up yet? What was the motivation behind it? Did you have an interest as a child or something? What's up, Marco? I didn't see Marco. Where's he at? Where's Marco at? Am I tripping? So, I was born in 90. So at the renaissance of action movies, right? Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme, the crew. Anyway, my dad loved stuff like that. So even as like a 4, 5-year-old, I started watching all those movies, instantly fell in love with gear, gadgets, knives, guns. So ever since I was a little kid, I have loved gear. Nothing, not one thing in particular. Like, I always was infatuated with guns and large fixed blades, as a kid growing up. But, I love all the tech, all the gadgets, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I've always been in love with gear. And then there was a point probably in high school where I was too drugged out to care about, I kept a knife or two with me, but I wasn't like, in it. But by my mid-20s or so, I started to get back into guns and whatnot, and then it just kind of exploded after that. Charlie, what up? What's my opinion on multi-tools? I mean, they're good, good thing to have. My perspective on a multi-tool is it's not something I keep like in my pocket, but it's something that is always available. So I have one in the vehicles. I have one maybe in like a sling bag or backpack that I take with me. I have one at home, I have several at home. So basically a multi-tool to me, now when I did certain carpentry work, I would keep a certain multi-tool with me, but that was because it benefited me to keep one with me. I would recommend having one in the vehicle and, keeping one with you. Leatherman makes a good multi-tool. I can say there's other companies that are, sure, they might not be as good as a Leatherman, but they like Byberry, Roxxon, Rock Tool, Next Tool. These companies are creeping up behind Leatherman quickly, and they're doing it with really nice out-of-box packages with all kinds of bits and extras. They're using name steels like D2 or 9CR, which, those aren't super steels, but I don't really care about that for my multi-tool. but I do like having a real steel, you know, that isn't just Pakistani truck steel, like what's been used in a lot of knockoff multi-tools over the years. But these newer companies that have come up over the last couple of years have started to implement actual steels for their blades. They're just, so my opinion would be initially, if you want to be get in the hobby of collecting or preparedness, you know, I'd get one or two cheaper ones, like a Byberry or Roxxon, Rock Tool, Next Tool. You know, I'd get a couple of them before I spent the money on a Leatherman, because I'd rather have one in my vehicle and one in my bag that's always with me or whatever than just have one. And then later on down the line, you know, you can go pick up a leather at a later point. But that would be my input on that. Favorite sub $150 knife. What's up, BNA? Good to see you, brother. Rolf, Barbie. Sub $150 knife. Boy, I don't know if I could say I have a favorite. What's up, Shay? Hey, thanks, Carbon. Stop by anytime, brother. Let's see here. Favorite sub $150 knife. Boy, there's a lot of good ones, man. Just in general, or as like something that would be a good utility type of knife. Henry, what's up, brother? What's up, Shay? Yeah, we're gonna start packing these in. I'm gonna at least attempt to do probably around lunchtime or after my morning video or afternoon video, whatever you want to call it. My lunchtime video, probably a little bit after that, I'm gonna start doing some live streams. Whether they're vertical or regular, you know, I'll probably try to do both. But YouTube overlords must want channels to do these verticals. So something that you could use. Well, do you have a preference as far as locking mechanism, size, blade shape? You know, there's a lot of things to factor in. We could definitely hone in on some in that price range, but you're in that $150 price range. You really have opened up the door, and there's a lot just above that, like 160, you know, 160, 170. There's a lot in that $150 price range. I would say from 100 to 150, that's kind of like no man's land in a sense. Usually companies stay under 100 or they try to hit like 150 and above. Like when I try to do a video of knives between 100 and 150, it's pretty limited. Much more limited than under 100 and over 150. The Kubi Titus on Skiffs 125, that'd be a good option in 14C. Sarah, what's happening? What's up, Michael? Hey man, yeah, we're gonna try to start pumping these out every day. Every day. Yeah, the Delica would be a nice Vosti shell and cutter. Yep, just released morning actually. We shouldn't be loading. I'm a lefty, so something ambidextrous, and I don't like anything bigger than like a 3-inch just because of work and things like that, but I'm also not opposed to a frame or liner lock. I don't know if I'm going to be that annoying, B&A, but it's not even that I rather... Well, it's probably because it's on my necklace. Let me switch it. I don't even know if this is... Is this where my audio's coming through? Or is it over here? I don't know where the audio is being picked up at, so that's partially the problem. It should be on my microphone here, but... A penguin. Yes, everyone should have a penguin. I got a couple of them. Let's see here. Yeah, the secondhand market or whatnot, you can pick up some good knives. Speaking of that, I'll be having a pretty big sale here. Actually, I'm gonna have 2 sales instead of doing like a big massive one, or you know, like instead of doing 40 knives, I'm gonna do like 20 and 20 or 30 and 30 or something like that. But I know I said I was doing that like 2 weeks ago. I just haven't gotten around to it. Let me. I mean, I'm trying to think what you could get the most, like, for your, like, 150. Pushing 20K. Yeah, getting there, man. Slowly but surely. I know there's some creators out there who must be sucking off the YouTube overlord or something. Let's see. What do I got in my case here? $150. I mean, Megaron puts out some good stuff in that 150 range. Or you could get titanium, but you're a lefty though, so does it need to have the ability to switch over to lefty? Yeah, I'm getting close though, BNA, huh? Fook, what up? Yeah, Microtech and Ultratech would be cool. There's certain knives that you gotta experience, you know, for yourself. I think I only got one left. Yeah, I only got one Microtech OTF left. I'll probably always keep this one. This one's in 204p. It's the Tanto. This is a full-size Ultratech. Got this in 2020. I think I got it that month, too. Or maybe the next month. I think maybe November. This thing is so nasty, though. Pokey, slicey. Don't get it out a whole lot though anymore. Just it's freaking it's too much. New EMP. I bought one of the mystery packs and got a USA made OTF Magna Cut. This thing's so badass. Not even planned out by John. He just, and somehow, some way, this is one knife. This is one style I didn't have yet. I have a US EMP OTF, but it was a, what, Tanto, I think? So I didn't have the sheep's foot. So I bought that mystery swag pack, and he packages those prior to fulfilling orders. So he doesn't know what's in each bag. They're just packed up, but he randomly put one in for me, and I ended up with this, which I couldn't be happier about that. It would have been, I figured I'd be getting a duplicate, but I just wanted to do it for fun. And that's what ended up showing up. Everyone does need an OTF. Kathleen, what's up? That's who makes this, BNA. That's who makes this EMP here. Really good action, good switch. I mean, I can do this all day long. Good handle. You know what I mean? You probably will get your most. Now, Kershaw, too. I don't want to ditch on Kershaw. This is the new Axial. The ones that were just released. The Axial Shift 3 Warncliffe Magna Cut. This is the new one right here with the updated switch. But really clean break on the action. Really smooth. Good switch. As far as the switches go, the way John did his is a little bit more subtle, I guess I would say, as far as the actual traction on the knife. They feel pretty close, though. I poured oil like a dumbass in this one, and I still got to work it out of there. But Kershaw makes a nice OTF as well, in my opinion. Yeah, Axial gives you a lot for the money. Carbon, I think everyone should have at least 1 or 2 knives that have serrations, right? I'm not opposed to them at all. If somebody likes them, that's A-okay with me. I don't have any problem. I don't have a ton, but I have several knives, like good knives, like this LUDT with serrations, which I got purposefully. You know, I bought that. I wanted an LUDT with the serrations. These have great cutting geometry too. Like, these are nasty. This is kind of a battle-worthy knife right here, in my opinion. But yeah, I think kind of like the multi-tool Carbon, you should have one within arm's reach wherever you go. So, like in my vehicles, we keep a fixed blade or 2. We keep a multi-tool. We keep a serrated folder. And then, you know, I probably have some other folders in there as well. But, you know, And one knife that I've went to both vehicles for, let me see. Now, not this particular one, but the knives that we go to for the vehicles are the Off-Grid Fire Rapid series. These are just absolute monsters. I mean, you want to talk about robust, overbuilt. Off-Grid makes these for that side of the world. So law enforcement, EMS, military. So these are really overbuilt knives. They come in Cryo D2. I think they started doing some in 14C. But they got Tantos, spear points. I think I got both the Tantos in each of the vehicles. Leatherman Surge, what's up? B Shady, what's up? Yeah, that's a good way to go about it too, Fook. Like, that's what pretty much what I used to rock was like maybe the skeletal, right? Like, I'd have something at least like this in the vehicle, and then, of course, have a folder and a fixed blade in there as well. Forget about the one you're carrying, right? You should have stuff that stays in your vehicle. That way, in case you need it, it's there. You know, knives, lighters, multi-tools, all that type of stuff. If you have a designated couple of knives and items for in your vehicle, you leave that stuff in there, you know, and trust me, you might not need it much, but when you do, you know, you'll be thanking GBall when you do need it. Put them up. Put them up. Shit. Wrong one. These are sweet. Real sweet. Yeah, I'm the same way, BNA. I mean, I think, you know, everyone should have a couple of them. Serrated knives, but for me, plain edge is what I carry 99 times out of 100. You know, rare occasions I'll get the LUDT out, or I'm trying to think. I definitely have a couple that are serrated. 2 of them are out in the vehicles. I think I have a Sacra half serrated out in my truck. They're just good for denser materials like ropes and twines and things like that. Serrations are really good for certain things. So they're just good to have. Good to have around. Yeah, well, Carbon, you'll notice the longer you're around, people will take. So, say I'm up here preaching that D2 sucks, serrations suck, recurves suck. There's people who will take that, which creators do that stuff. The people who watch it will then take that idea without ever experiencing serrations, recurves, you know, that type of stuff. Without ever experiencing it, go blast off what some numbskull said. And that just has transpired over years and years and years. So now people just have this idea that recurves suck, they're really hard to sharpen, you know, serrations suck, they're no good, there's no point to them, you know, stuff like that, when really that person's probably never handled either and never attempted to do anything with either as well. One thing I can say about recurves, and you can say the same thing, you just need the right tools and you'll be in good shape. Pretty much the cure-all for serrations and for recurves is going to be a diamond rod. If you have some different rods, you'll be able to sharpen up recurves. You know, I'm not saying I'm setting the angle back at 12,000 and like reprofiling this or that with those rods. I'm saying if you want to sharpen it back up and hone the edge, you want to hone the edge back in, then those sharpening rods for recurves and knives like that, you're going to be good to go. Going to be in good shape, my friend. So anybody who's getting into it, I would say don't like if you think something's cool or you like something or you want to try something out later, be shady, then just, you know, do it. Because what I like, you might not like. What Joe Schmuckatelli says, you might not actually agree with, right? Like, there was for years, there was all kinds of nonsense about, like, VG10 being a shitty steel and N690 being a shitty steel. And that was all spouted off by people who had no idea what the characteristics of those steels even were. Only because it wasn't a super steel, it was dog shit. And that type of stuff has just flowed through the community and has, you know, saturated it with just dumbass stuff. You know, D2, if done properly, especially with like a cryo treatment like what Off-Grid does, even though it's not the toughest steel, it's still a steel. And I've tested out several fixed blades now at this point in a good quality D2, and it's really tough stuff, even though it's not classified as a tough steel. I think it's like a 3 out of 10 or something, which if you compare that to 14C, it's like a 9 out of 10. So 14C is like 2.5, 3 times stronger than D2, but D2's a fairly tough steel. So that just kind of tells you how tough 14C really is. But that D2 also got a bad name from people putting D2 on the blade and it not actually being D2 or it being, you know, very poorly done. That's helped give D2 a bad rap. But if you buy a knife from Off-Grid, Concept, Kubi, you know, these name brand companies in D2, it's going to be Holtzman. They do a great job with their D2. Off-Grid, SOG, they all do really good with their D2. Yeah, exactly, Gons. Fred, what's up? Everything I don't like sucks. Yeah. What's up, Donnie? Yeah, Leatherman makes good stuff. No question. Yeah, exactly. A diamond rod. I mean, it will cure what ails you. It will definitely cure what ails you there for serrations, recurves. Good to see you, Shay. Someway, what is up? Yeah, sometimes them schmuckatellis, man, I tell you. So really, if the steel works for you, that is all that matters. Exactly. And this is what I always try to, it's hard to translate sometimes into videos, and it depends on how the creator views what knives are for. Like if you watch certain creators, it's about the action. If you watch certain creators, it's about the aesthetic. Other creators, it's about the utility factor or, you know, this or that, or it's the design. You know, so there's a lot of different opinions out there on knives. I usually view it from like an all-around perspective. Like, is the steel, how is it going to perform all around? How is it going to perform as a utility style knife, a regular EDC knife? And I always try to make that clear, you know, that I think this knife would be good for, like the Naga in the video. I say something to the effect of, this wouldn't make a good utility style knife. It just won't. We have a bigger belly here, a higher tip. It's just not going to be anywhere as good as something like the Vivid is for utility type work, because you got that straight edge with a nice low tip. That's going to be much better for utility. But like general EDC stuff, oh, I need to cut this package open, this bag of chips, you know, whatever. This is going to work just fine. So depends on what you're looking for too, and you know how that all factors in. If you just need something that can cut whatever you might run into, then there's a lot of blade shapes that you can just basically at that point you can pick which one looks the most appealing to you. Because at that point, even a something, let me see here, do I got one? I do. I just need to find it. Something like, let me just get it. So I have put the work in with this knife, the Reich Lamella. It's a trailing point, and you wouldn't think, you know, it has much utility, but man, anything I put this knife through, I carried this for weeks and weeks and weeks over the holidays. I carried this a ton, used it a bunch, and everything that I attempted to cut with this thing, it did beautifully. So this is the knife that made me start to realize that trailing points, within reason, you know, something like this is a trailing point, but it's not insanely high from the center of the handle. You can still use that tip. But even trailing points can be a great EDC knife, and this would be an awesome knife if you had to poke into something. So, you know, in like a backup self-defense type of idea. But then after this knife, I went to something with a recurve in it. I started to kind of realize a lot of these things here in the last year and a half or so, about, because, you know, you hear something and then you kind of just, you take that, oh yeah, that comes off there too. Isn't that sweet? Reich and Couture, man. Crazy bastards. Crazy bastards. Buckeye guy, what's up? Yeah, Fed, and then, exactly, Fred. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, 440C, if you, it's actually, and the same could be said, some people might throw up, but just, if it's done properly, even something like an 8CR AUS 8 is a decent steel. It don't have the best edge retention, but it's not going to be hard to get an edge back on something like that either. So like a really well done, like go look at the numbers. You don't have to take my word for it, but go look at the numbers of something like 440C, 8CR / AUS 8, you know, 10CRs and VG10s, N690s. Those are all going to perform, you know, those groups are going to perform similar to each other. VG10 is a little bit better rounded than N690, being as it's a little tougher, I believe, if I remember correctly, but both very corrosion resistant. And that's the other thing too, is some people, creators and consumers, view knives only in how their edge retention is, and that's it. And that is horrible for a huge chunk of people out there, because a huge chunk of people don't give 2 squirts of piss if they can cut 1,000 miles of cardboard with the knife. They want to know, can the knife cut? Is it going to hold up, be comfortable, easy to carry, and how hard is it to maintain this thing? You know, that type of stuff. And that's a big chunk of people. What's the blue knife? Looks like a gravity knife. This one here. This is Daily Carry Co.'s new AI slide. This is their 3rd version of this knife now. And each one has gotten better and better. It uses rare earth magnets to keep the handle closed. Titanium clip, that's reversible. Talk about a knife that I typically have within arm's reach is some form of gravity knife, usually an AI slide. Just because they're so light, it's in 14C, so it's really tough shit, and they're comfortable too. You got the enclosed handle. Something here again that edge retention whores and cutting geometry people and that sort of thing, this isn't going to be the knife for those types of people, and it's not designed to be that either. So it's all about keeping things in perspective, and some people have a hard time doing that. You know, we could sit here and bash on that knife, but it would be stupid to do so because the design intent is not, it's not that. There, you can go check them out. Yeah, I mean, well, I would say, yeah, Sarah, this is the bounty hunter. I just put the video out on this very recently, within the last couple of days. So if you want a closer look at it, I believe they're still in stock. The last I knew they were. This is the Feeweed Bounty Hunter. It's got the triangular studs, a well done front flipper, L-Max done, 60 to 70, the black wash. For a mid-sized knife, I like this. I would love this thing if it was a little bit bigger. That's what she said. Titanium inserts, and then everything has been Cerakoted, so you get these cool colors, and it's really tough shit. Cerakote is, you know, a very tough coating. Yeah, my voice to text sucks. I would say it's really about, so yeah, if we wanted to get real technical, I would say geometry is primary in how, if we're looking at cutting, specifically cutting, how well something cuts is geometry. Then the life of that given edge is going to be the steel and how it's treated. So yeah, those are the two main factors. Is, you know, even something, if you take a piece of steel and give it an insanely good geometry, like something you pulled off your truck, you know, an old truck or something, and you give it a good geometry and put a good edge on it, that's going to cut really well for, you know, this length of time. But the better the steel is, and the better the steel is in regards to its edge retention, something like S110 is extremely high in its edge retention, but very low in its toughness. The toughness of S110 is equivalent to that of like D2. They're both on like a 3 out of 10 or so on their toughness level. But S110 crushes it in edge retention and corrosion resistance. Tis it too, baby. How old is the sandwich? Knives are life, what up? I mean, you might need 20 CV. I guess it depends. I guess it depends on the sandwich. What's your next knife? What are we talking about? Fook, that's because S35VN is a badass user steel. That's still pretty easy to take care of. Don't let, that's what I'm saying. Don't let, I get so tired of some of the stuff that gets said. But S35VN, if you don't want to classify it as super steel, you want to argue about that, whatever. I don't really give a shit. But what I do care about is how does it perform in the 3 categories? What am I getting out of it? And S35VN is a great user steel. It's a great all-around steel. And that's where you get into it with edge retention people. Because S35 doesn't have S110's edge retention, you know, it's a shitty steel. But when in reality, it's tougher and the edge retention is still good. You know what I mean? So there's give and take with some of it. But like I was getting at earlier with the D2, it's not, some people will say it's a tough steel, but by classification, it's really not. It's like a 3 out of 10, like I said. But even a well-done D2 can be really tough. I've had fixed blades in here that I've beaten the literal piss out of, and it does great. Like a Holtzman, off-grid, their fixed blades, you know, that they do it with their cryo treatment, SOG. Like this, even though it's not really that tough on paper, it can be really tough. It's still a steel. Yeah, those are good user steels, Gons. Later, Carbon. Later, Shay. Yeah, S45's good. ZDP 189. Local prepper, what is happening? Yeah. Hey, I guess that's life. Just never enough, huh? Never enough. How's it going? Yeah, I want to get my hands on that Nanner. Jody's got a S30V Benchmade and a Gerber multi-tool. That's a nice setup. That's all you need. That's all you need. Benchmade's S30V. What is the blue knife or pen thing? Are we still talking about this? This is the Daily Carry Co. AI slide. This is the only blue thing on the table, I'm pretty sure. That is actually, that's another reason why I love these things. They don't look like a damn knife, but they're fun, they're comfortable, they're light, and you got a hell of a blade and steel here. 14C with this nasty tanto, robust tanto. Like, this knife was meant to cut dense cordage, you know, poke into stuff, not in a necessarily a self-defense manner, actual material. That's why it's so robust. The original, I think they said the AI slide and the gravity knife itself is based off like paratroopers and whatnot. These were the types of knives that they would carry if they had to cut line or anything, from what I gather. Dwayne, yo! Tim, what up? Yeah, S45, good. I wouldn't pay a like, me personally, I guess depending on what you're looking for, but like, let's say we got two of the exact same knives on the table. One's an S35, one's an S45, and the S45 one's $100 more. I'm going to be happy and go with the S35 and save, you know, $100. That would be my thoughts on it. But, you know, if money wasn't an object in your decision, but deal would you get primarily? If money wasn't an object in your decision, say that again, Fred? I'm not sure. I'm pretty joked up over here, though, too. How long have we been on? Knives Are Live, coming in, member for 8 months as a G-baller. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Oh, what steel? I'll tell you. I would go with, I'll give you a few. If it was me, and like say I wanted to have a knife made and, you know, in my specs or in my eye or whatever, I would go with Crewwear as one of them. Crewwear is an amazing all-around steel. Really good. It's got toughness to back it up. It's got good edge retention. You know, it's going to be just fine in the corrosion resistance department. That would be a great all-around steel, but it's going to be a little bit tougher to hone in, though, right? Crewwear, it's going to be a little bit tougher to hone in. Let's see. Crewwear is up there really good. Another steel that we just don't see a ton of, but I absolutely love, is Vanex, because it serves a very specific, perfect purpose in that it's extremely corrosion resistant. It's pretty damn tough, and it's got good edge retention. So Vanex is another one that I really like, especially for certain scenarios, right? Yeah, I see somebody said S90V. That is definitely you know, if we're looking at like the side of edge retention, still affordable, you know, not insanely priced. Plus, companies are doing S90V. Like, I don't know that there's a company out there doing a bad S90V. So, in regard to edge retention, stain resistance, S90V is awesome. And it's got toughness like D2 does. So really it's not like it's a soft ass puss steel. It's still a steel. So S90V is plenty tough. I like S90 as well. That's one of my favorites. I do like LMAX. I'm a pretty big fan of LMAX in the well-rounded side of things, right? And MagnaCut too. You know, here what we could say early on. I do like MagnaCut's, you know, stats on paper and how it's performed. For me at this point, I have probably 20 knives in MagnaCut, probably, or maybe even more than that. But so I got quite a back when I only had a couple. I wasn't really sure what to think, even with the hoopla from everyone and what it said on paper. But it is what, you know, it says on paper. It is a great steel. Very unheard of what that steel's been able to accomplish, you know. So it is, MagnaCut's kind of a, I don't know what you'd want to say. That's kind of an obvious answer. That would be a good one. But if we wanted to be different, Cruwear would certainly be up there. A really well done LMAX and S90V would be up there. I've really come around on M4. Wasn't real high on that initially, but M4 I've really come around on. M4, in my opinion, is not better than Cruwear, but it's right there. You know, it's right there. So I do like M4. But those would probably be, depending on what you're looking for, you know, if you wanted something that was just a general EDC, if you wanted something that was geared a little bit more towards toughness, or you wanted something that was geared a little bit more for edge retention, cutting, life. But then that person has to factor in maintenance, right? Or honing, whatever you want to say. That has to come into terms as well. With those super steels, you're going to pay a price and you're going to pay a premium when it comes to time spent sharpening it up, honing the edge up, in comparison to, you know, like 154, 14C, steels of that nature, even like an LMAX, S30, S35. Some of those steels would be significantly easier to sharpen. Now, with the technology that's going into sharpening nowadays, though, they are making it a lot easier for people to take care of these super steels. 14C is an amazing steel. Amazing. Anyone who loves 14C will fit in perfectly here. Rolf gifted a membership and Fook Doozle picked it up. Let's get some GBall walls in. What do you mean I didn't move it? Is everything still good? We're good. I don't know why you're saying that. I didn't move anything, lady. My phone's telling me to, because I hit the post, I think. Let's give a shout out to Rolf. And we'll count that in this Saturday's little thingy-majig in our member giveaway. Don't worry. Get the little Miko blower out here. This thing's a dope little machine. Come back here. Come back here. Thank you, Rolf. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, some way. I like where your head is, Donnie. Tim. Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with that. Yeah, B&A, speaking on that S90 there from Spyderco, I believe it. That's one I sadly still don't have from Spyderco, but I believe it. Yeah. Yep. That's the thing, like sharpening technology might have lagged behind in these steels as they got better, but they have, the sharpening systems have gotten way better. Yeah, K390 with a true DLC satin would be... I've had K390. There's not a lot out there to choose from. With K390, I had a Spyderco Indela Warncliffe, I believe, in K390. Insanely good cutter. There's some steels like K390 where you could counter any corrosion issues you might run into with a real dark acid wash or something like a DLC for sure. A good coating or a good finish would definitely... Like I have satin M4 and it gets humid up here in North Pennsylvania. And I don't have any trouble with it. So it's... But I ain't like shoving it into a bag of wet mud or something and then throwing it back in my knife case. So as long as you have a little bit of care for some of those steels that are maybe corrosion, they have some issues with their corrosion levels. All it takes is a little bit of extra care. So if you want that toughness and edge retention, all you have to do is just put in a little bit of extra care. Say it is a satin finish. Well, as long as you don't put it away wet, which you should never do with anything, and then keep her oiled up, and you're gonna be good to go anytime. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Tim. I'm a bigger fan of 14C. I don't know why Nitro V is more expensive. I've never understood that. They've kind of equaled out now, but Nitro V used to be like, we got it in 14C for 50, but we got Nitro V for 85. I never understood that part because I always felt like 14C was better. But Nitro V is a good steel in the price range it's in. It's a real good steel. Brashear, what up? What up? Nice, BNA. Yeah, you can go that route too. I've tried that BNA, like letting it just do its thing. The only one that ever did that, where I just let it do its thing and it actually did, was a Maximet Para 3 that I had. That actually, but like, for instance, that satin M4 Spyderco I have has not, I've had that for years. It goes through insanely humid and hot days and very cold days as well. And that knife has not shown any sign of even like a spot of corrosion. So It just ain't doing it. It ain't doing it. Anything that I've ever had that was a bead blast, though, no matter what steel, do not buy a knife with a bead blast on the blade. Bead blast is not for steel. You want to do it to titanium and the handle, right? Sure. But you don't bead blast. Now, there's a lot of blasting finishes, like sandblast. Never had an issue with that. It's a different process than the bead blast. The bead blast, you don't really see many companies doing it anymore. It used to be very common, but it's not something we really see much of anymore. Oh, I didn't know you lived in Southern Cal, Tim. Very dry, yeah. See, here in North PA, we get a little bit of freaking everything, man. Really. Like November, December to like February, March, we get extremely cold and snowy and all that crap. And then from like March, April to like May, June, we get a ton of rain typically. Then by like June and July and August, it's like mid to high 90s, can get into the hundreds with humidity, be brutal. Then we can have real beautiful weather like September, October, November sometimes. Really nice weather like 70s, sunny, wear a hoodie type of deal. So we get a little bit of everything here for the most part. And sometimes in some weeks, you can have a little bit of everything. That's typically during the winter time though. Or only during the winter time, I should say. Only in Pennsylvania, people who live up here can testify. It's one of the only places in the same week you can have 15 degrees, a foot and a half of snow. The next day, it be 40, 50 out and pouring rain. Then the next day or the following day, be like 75 in like January. That's how PA goes. It's insane here. But I live about an hour from the New York border in the center of the state. I'm about 45 minutes from Harrisburg. 45 minutes an hour north. Yeah, that's about the only one BNA that I could, like, I didn't force it, right? But, like, just let it do its thing. The only one that ever did anything for me was the Maximet. Robert, what's up? Yeah, Donnie can probably speak on that way better than I can. Because I started to notice really early on in my collecting days that these knives would get spots, corrosion spots. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, and I take care of my stuff good, but just there was a time I went to the beach and it really happened badly with some 14C that is extremely stainless, like very stainless. 14C is one of the, you know, it's one of the best steels for corrosion resistance. It's one of the top 3 or 4 for toughness, but its corrosion resistance is also really good. But anyway, I soon realized and learned bead blast, you know, this was years and years ago at this point, but that this bead blast they're doing is freaking killing these blades. I realized it with D2, 14C, MagnaCut, M390, like it didn't matter what the hell it was. Bead blast, even with pretty good care, I'm not saying like I lightly oiled everything every single time I ever got it out, every time I touched it, right? But I would notice like maybe where like I last touched the blade to close it or open it, there might be like a couple spots, you know what I mean? Just from like sweat or finger residue being on that bead blast of a D2 or any of them steels, it just ruined it. But a sandblast, I've had a ton of sandblasted stuff and other blasts. There's a lot of finishes for a blasting. The only one I've ever seen or had give me trouble is the bead blast, which, like I said, we don't see that much anymore, which is a good thing. And it's a finish that maybe it's because I know what comes with it. I just never have cared for it either. It just kind of looks, I don't know. I just, you know, maybe if it never gave me issues, I might think about it differently, but don't buy anything bead blasted, pretty much no matter where you live, with few exceptions. Yeah, some way. That's really messed up. Really messed up. I saw a few, very few, like, happy stories where kids managed to get out of, because it wasn't just like, apparently there's a lot of this going on, like, you know, it's summertime, but right this week a lot of places are doing these camps for kids and stuff like that all over the place, not just Texas, but in this very week a lot of places were doing it. They had boys and girls, younger and, you know, all over the place in Texas there, but there was kids who managed to get out, you know, and actually experience like flooding, and like they got away from it, you know, they were able to get out of it, get away from it. But most of it has been really, really sad stories. So yeah, it's definitely terrible for sure. Yeah, I think we're gonna see that it probably ends up being close to 100 or more, sadly. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of fall. I like fall and I like winter. So like September, October to March is like my favorite time of year, pretty much. Like I like summer because it's nice, but the hot up here just, and the humidity, it's the humidity typically. It's just so annoying, man. Because you got the humidity and the heat. Like the heat's one thing, but the humidity just killer. Yes, stonewash is one of the best finishes, no question. Yeah, Fook. Yeah, they definitely can be. And that right there goes back to someone like I would recommend a stonewash to would be someone who is really going to be using the knife daily, all kinds of different stuff. Stonewash. You know, stonewash, acid wash, black wash, those types of finishes for users, right? They take wear really good. But satin and stuff like that, hand satin, belt satin, polished, those are good for like, you're gonna use the knife once in a while on things you choose to cut with it, right? You know, not everyone looks at it like that. Some people buy a satin blade that's $300 and use the shit out of it. But in general, is what I'm saying, I would say that would be how it is. But there's something to be said too, like satin finishes, like belt satins and stuff, they are surprisingly pretty tough. Now they stay pretty clean looking with use. And a belt satin too can take wear pretty good. But they will show, you know, the fingerprints and so on. Currently in Florida, yeah, it's brutal down there too. Where are you at, Donnie? Yeah, that's pretty much like here. Outside is too dangerous for me. Fred's going from the air-conditioned house to the air-conditioned car to the air-conditioned restaurant to the air-conditioned car to the air-conditioned house. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's what I try to stay doing. Southern Wisconsin in the summer and the mosquitoes. Yeah. Yeah, we get them too, man. Freaking mosquitoes. That's probably about the worst. One of the worst things about anywhere is if they got mosquitoes, and that's definitely the shitty thing about summertime here. Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, that sounds about right for here too. Any recommendation for a budget EDC fixed blade with a taco style Kydex sheath, USA made? That's tough. What kind of budget? What kind of budget are we talking? Because there's not a ton that you'll find. Like you could do an Azola or an Zola 2 and get a custom sheath made for it. And you might be under like 100. I don't know that you'll find that, Flint. Well, yeah, that's gonna be tough because you might find some fixed blades, like even stuff by like Buck. Their stuff's gonna be more than that, but they're typically gonna come in a leather sheath, so you might have to hold out a little bit. And I mean, the Sea Snake's not USA made though. If we open up that can of worms, we could talk about 100 knives. It's gonna be tough to find a USA made under 75. Yeah, there's a ton of good ones under that price that aren't USA made. How about Taiwanese made? How about Taiwan? I would say I'd go over here and get the Sidekick. This is my EDC crossover fixed blade of the year. I don't know that anything's going to beat it. As far as like a budget offering, these are 60 bucks, made in Taiwan. Great taco sheath, great ramp, great undercut. And then we got 14C, that's really well done. Nice G10 handles here. Like this, for me, is a perfect EDC fixed blade package, but would still work in an outdoor scenario too, like camping, hiking, carving. You could do some light batoning with this because of how it's built and in what steel. That's where I'd go, dude. They got an all murdered out one, and then they got the, or no wait, it might be black handle stonewash blade. I'm partial to this one. And then it comes with this adjustable clip here. Me personally, I'd either put scout straps on it or an Alti clip for the EDC. And then this would be great for outdoor stuff as well for on the belt. I mean, you could leave this on as an EDC. You could can it in the front, you know. I've done that. So that's what those come in good for, though. The Sidekick is sweet. Right here, dude. I'll put a link in the chat. Nick, what's up, buddy? I got this in 2020, Nick. No, the LUDT. When did I get this? 2021. My Ultra Tech is from 2020. This is from 2021. And this, actually, I bought in, this is the one that was in the month that I bought it. I bought this in May, and that's when it was made. Yeah, love the LUDT. I said earlier, that's a battle-worthy knife. The Kubi Aries Bloom. I know, I want to check out those wire Alti clips. On my birthday in '93, I was living in Maui. I dropped and took a little trip into the nearby jungle, no shirt. Back was covered with bites, yeah. That'll definitely do it. The FC35 Firecraft from White River is really good knife, GBall. Are those under 75? What's up, John? I think he said 75, maybe. Would I sell it? I don't know if I'd sell that one, man. There's quite a few. I'm actually going to be having a knife sale soon. I don't know that this is one I could put in there, to be honest. There's definitely autos I'd get rid of. I don't know if I'd get rid of this one or not. I'd have to think about that. What, you like the old school look over the new school? The new V2s that they, or I guess they'd be V3, or maybe even after V3. But this is kind of that V2 setup. The V1s aren't much different, I don't think. But as they've like put them through production, they've made little changes. But the new ones that just came out, they have a different body, a different clip. You know, they're laid out differently. The new LUDTs. I've thought about getting one of those, actually. I'll have to think about that, dude. I've never actually thought about getting rid of that. I do want to check out those wire Alti clips, though. They look really solid. And not as expensive as... Because the regular ones are, what, 15 or 17, maybe? I forget. What's the thing right under your leather patch? This. That's a lighter, dude. A mechanical lighter. Isn't that thing dope? Buffalo Bills guy. Yeah, those are all through Katuo and Reich. Katuo does some, Reich do some. Like this is a Reich. This is a new one. These just came out right after Blade Show. They have a bunch of awesome stuff over there. Right after Blade Show and right before Blade Show, they put some crazy stuff in there. You can go check them out right there. It kind of is a fidget thing, but it's solid brass and weighs like a pound. If you threw this at somebody's head, it would kill them probably. But yeah, you can fidget with a couple different things on this. You got these. I mainly use it as a desk lighter though. That spins. There's a little gear here. But yeah, I got some new ones coming to show off as well here real soon. Sales always lead to regret when you don't have them anymore. I've heard people say it many times. Yeah, and that's one reason why I don't really sell. In all the years I've been collecting, I have only had a few sales. And that was mainly just to like make room. But I kind of solved that issue with a new case the other day that holds 150 knives. Yeah, I don't sell much, but I am going to have one just specifically for like space. I'm going to be having one or two here over the next couple weeks. What up, Bastion? How to ship here in Dubai? I'm not sure. Never shipped anything there. Plus, I don't know what the knife laws are like there. Like some stuff, and there's some stuff that I've given away that I'm like, man, wish I still had that. But it's it's okay. Life goes on. I forget what it was for. Somebody might remember, but I think it was like 5,000 maybe, or 8,000 subscriber member giveaway. But I gave away a titanium roach that was discontinued. That thing was awesome. There's a couple, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Unalive by later. Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure, but that was definitely a real bullet, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is pretty sweet. They just put out a bunch of lighters, pry bars, pens, and they've been putting out knives over the last couple months, pretty much. At least one a month almost. Yeah, exactly, Fook, yep. Yeah, especially now, there's probably even more restrictions and whatnot. Yeah, them discontinued ones will hurt you. Ooh, that's sweet. Swaroff Benchmade. Because of their prices, which I agree, I've done as well. The last one I bought was an Adamas when they dropped. The original ones, the Crewwear ones. I got a first production Crewwear Adamas. It's a beast. But that was the last one I bought because after that they went nutso. But that's a nice pickup, man. 300 Blade Show Mini Freak in purple amethyst. Never even heard of that shit. M4 blade and dark yellow Altum handle. Sounds badass. One of my favorite knives this year. I don't care what you say. Griffin V3, man. Totally up my alley. It's got the size that I typically look for. It's got M390. It's pokey as all hell. It is slicey. It's comfortable. Comfortable enough for EDC tasks, you know what I mean? Every single deployment is spot on. Like, nothing feels neglected anywhere. It's so damn good. All the mechanisms are done well, like as far as how the rear flipper is designed and jimped. It works perfectly. The front flipper could not be done any better. It's got good height. It's got really good jimping, and the way it kind of curves in, flattens off, and then flares back out. That's perfect. Perfect. Then you add in the fact that this is a button liner lock, so you got a real detent, which allows all the perfect, deployments. You got the button and the liner to disengage the thing. So you can really never get bored with this knife. I've had this in my pocket a ton over the last month and a half or so. And it just looks badass too. Yeah, that's the good stuff right there. Like, and they milled it so you can put it on the left side, plus a filler tab, lanyard hole. Like, the only thing that would have, the only thing I could even say that I would want added to this knife, usually there's several things to most knives, I'd say this, and this. If they would have done a third, floating backspacer look thing here, and they probably couldn't, and that's probably why they didn't, because they're a company who does full-length backspacers all the time. So they maybe couldn't, but if they could have, that would have even made my love for this knife even more plentiful. But yeah, I love this thing. It's not overly heavy for its size, but it has a decent weight to it. Yeah. Love this thing right here. I've had to defer funds, but I do have a nanner on the way when I can later. I think the premium rhino with copper foil scales is next. From Ramet, I've had 2 PM2 Jade M4 Tantos. Don't really carry them much, but I'll never sell either. Yeah, dude. No. No. I would never sell them. Just like my Warncliffe and my S30 Tanto, I'll never sell those. I am, however, not like in a rush, but I am gonna get a new PM2 soon because I sold my 20 CV PM2 thinking I was gonna get one, and then I decided not to. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I need a new PM2, like a regular one, because I don't have one at the moment. Bought my first custom from Tough Knives. It's called the Templar. Nice. From Tough Knives. Tough Knives. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. How much did that run you? I like M4 as well. I don't like it as much as Crewwear, but I do like M4 quite a bit. A lot more than a lot of other steels. We have a lot of Benchmade in Dubai. I guess I'm not surprised about that. You probably got Benchmade, maybe Spyderco, Leatherman, Victorinox. Julio, what is up? Not if it's discontinued. It's just like anything else. Like, you can get out of it what someone is willing to pay for it. Now, depending on what it is, the value can go up, right? But if it doesn't go up past the retail, because it's discontinued, depending on the shape of the knife and depending on how long it's been discontinued, you know, you can definitely kind of ask what you believe it's worth. You know what I mean? Has there been any sales? If there was, what were they? You know, that type of thing. But like that titanium roach, I don't believe there was a ton of them made to begin with. And I got one of the very last ones that you could get. A lot of people wanted that knife and they were gone, and then they never made them again. They didn't discontinue them though for a while. Like, they kind of made you think they might do them again or put it out with new this or that. And they still could bring it back around, which I think if they don't make a new premium roach, I think that's a Matt Degnan design, is that right? But I think 100% they should do a full-size roach with the flipper and a cutout or a stud or something, a premium one. I think that would make a killer drop or release for Kaiser. Maybe in their button liner lock or frame lock, whatever. B&A. Maybe. Yeah, I might actually. Do you want me to let you know? I swear I'm gonna have the first one up, like, within the next week. I know I said that like 2 weeks ago, but really I am. Because now it's getting ridiculous. I gotta sleep on knives. My PM2 is an S45. I like S45. Yeah, good luck trying to find a full-size roach. That's right. Yeah, I had all of them. Guys. And I ended up, I don't know why. But back then I had the urge to give them away. And I slowly but surely gave them all away. And I don't know. That's just what happens, I guess. Yeah, I had all of them. The original full-size, beautiful micarta roach with the black leaf blade, that was in N690 and was very solid. Very solid. They did the titanium one in S35. It was a beast too. Had a nice thick blade stock, beautiful leaf shaped, Spyderco like blade. And it had these beastly handles to it with a full choil. Awesome knife. The roach is amazing. Yeah, probably a couple I should have hung on to, but that's alright. Okay, Rolf. I can do that. I might actually. I'm kind of going through. I want to pick out 20 or 30 this time and then do like another 20 or 30 just to kind of make some freaking room here. You could try it, BNA. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, I've had some Benchmades that I still have them, that are extremely strong, very well done. Like my bug out, really nice strong springs in this knife. And I've flicked this knife thousands of times. Same springs as out of the box. And I have a Griptilian that is so snappy and strong and loud, it's ridiculous. I should get it out. Should I get it? I've showed it before. Listen to this thing. Oh, so good. Oh, beast mode right here. This thing, you can rock it out. You hear that shit? BNA, do you have any Kaiser crossbar locks? They would have come with extra springs. You could see if they fit. Yeah, I've thought about getting, Brian has me convinced to get new scales for this. I don't mind these scales, but I would like they're grippy, they feel good. But I won't mind getting some new ones. I think you can get some cheap springs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to peace out of here, but I am going to be back every day that I can, whether it's a vertical or a normal stream. I'm going to try to be, at least during the weekdays, right? Do like an afternoon hang out and chill. But love you guys. If I don't see you the rest of the week, hopefully see you on Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll kick off the Saturday stream, God willing. And love you guys. Make sure you go check out this morning's video. I will catch you guys on the next one.